Hello everyone, course builders. I hope this is a little bit helpful. I'm going to go ahead and walk through one of the templates for Business 491. This is a Boundless ingest, so there's a couple funky things that we have to adjust in order to make this product glorious. So first thing first is you go to Google Drive and you find, Business 491. And this is just, we'll go in week one. You can see some of these I've already initialed because I did the questions earlier, but I haven't done any of the alt content or anything else. So this is where I'm at, so I clicked on that, click, and here it is. So we have our glorious template. So right now, obviously, every place should probably have some kind of introduction. So I'm going to copy this, go over here, so our glamorous hierarchy right here. It's probably easiest if you just sort of Control F and then type in whatever, like a word from this template. So consequences of workplace stress. So whatever, I'll just put stress in there. And then over here, oh look, it's a little faster than like scrolling on this stupid thing. What did I do? Consequences. So it's author with the little pin right there. So what a mess. All right, so we don't have an intro, so let's put an intro in here. So let's call it something like introduction. Don't need to worry about main path because there's only going to be one intro section. You can put it to read if you really like. Normal, heading 1, type introduction again. And keep in mind that spell check is not on by default. If you need to turn it on, it's right here, up here. But it's not on. So you're going to definitely want to paste in source mode. That just gets rid of all the gross spans and markup. So here we go. Now we've got our beautiful introduction. Sometimes there'll be pictures, and you add these with this little guy over here, add the images. It takes about 14 times too long, so we won't do that. If you're feeling really wild, you can put on spell check. I'm always kind of curious with things like always, not stress, and always to have stress. Good stress. Oh, okay, that's new. So save that. So next, I already did the questions from before. That would take too long to do here. So we've got all these plugged in already. Good. Here's the source for the primary. Good. So now we're down on the alternative media. So 5 triggers for stress in the workplace. It looks like a YouTube video. So what I do is I usually open this in another window just to see if it works. But let's go back and realize it. We're going to add a new section. And usually I like to call this a similar name to one learning section that already exists. So over here we've got a whole bunch of learning sections on all different kinds of stress. Let's see what this one's focus is. Top 5 triggers for stress in the workplace. Okay. It sounds like organizational effects of stress. Hold on, this is playing about stress in my brain. It sounds like that organizational effects of stress is what this is mostly like. So that's what organizational effects of stress. And then if it helps you remember, you can put video. So it's learning, video. Don't worry about part of main path. And then we mark video down here. And it might be good just to copy this again so we don't have to retype it. So once we're in here, we'll add that title just the same as over here. So definitely need to fix that. Spelling. Really quick. Go away. Okay, cool. So here we are. One thing that I like to do is, it's probably easiest to go into Share, Embed, and then find it. Height. Width is usually 560 by 315. Normally the max width you can do when you put a video in is 600. But here it almost seems to use time not conducive to good time by setting all these manually to 600. So right now it's 560 to 315. That works. That almost takes up the entire window, and it's hard to, the extra, 40 pixels don't make a huge difference. So usually there is some form of write-up, source text. There's several ways to be triggered. And the last thing that I like to put in, once I've got the actual video embed code in there, is just long-form URL, just in case someone wants to track down the source or can't get to it. So it's right there. Let's take a look. Looks good. For some reason it decided to get rid of my URL. Don't know why that happened. So let's paste it back in here. And so it looks okay. And remember, if you ever want to test it, you can always hit just test this section right here, right preview the screen. So organizational effects of stress, got our video. I'm going to put a parenthesis here just to make sure. So part of main path is good and unchecked. Now one thing we're going to want to check is we just made an alternative of a section up here. So let's go to organizational effects of stress and let's check out what these settings are on this section. And oh look, it's default part of main path. So by default, everyone's going to have to see this text, but we don't want that because we have an alternative now, so we want to deselect that. So now the system will choose between either this one, organizational vectors, or this one. So two different learning options. Now, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure that alternatives are not marked part of main path. Definitely not. And one last bit. So sometimes you have more than one option. So you do this sort of the same exact way that we just did as this alt content. Then something similar, make it not part of main path, and just make sure the embed code's in there and the write-up too. Last thing to put in, summary. You do this exactly like you did the intro. So I guess I'll do that really quick. So add section, summary, call it summary. Don't worry about the main path. Read, good. Add in heading 1. Summary. Yes. Paste it into source. Okay. And sometimes there's pictures, not here. Great. Last thing is, you can see that all the questions are already ingested automatically. A block is created and a section called questions is there for us. That's great. The only problem is we need to go in and adjust a few settings on the block. So let's go into the block. Occasionally with some of the ingests, there'll be question groups are defined up here. Now, you want to get rid of all of those for purposes of this, for these nodes. You can use groups if you have different sort of categories of questions you want to lump together and be delivered in a certain way. But for these, we're not messing with that. But one thing we do need to fix is to go in the transition between groups. Since there's only one group, stop delivery of the question block after asking 3, not 34. And that's it. So the system will serve up randomly 3 questions. And the other last thing we need to do is just to make sure, now this one's already set and okay, a question can only appear once. You don't want the same question over and over again. It works well for math questions that are variabilized, but less so for these sort of questions about the consequences of workplace stress. So just make sure this is checked. And results contribute to evidence to believe. That should already be checked automatically, so you don't have to worry about that one. So just that 3 asked right here. Make sure question can only appear once. Good, great, wonderful. Save, and then you should be all set. If you want, it'll ask me to save it again here really quick. Find exit. You can definitely preview the whole thing in the new user interface just to take a look and just make sure everything is legible. Introduction will automatically be served up first, and then from there the system should start to do its thing, at least as far as serving out some of the options. Effects of stress. So that's, in a nutshell, probably the way that I go about building different activities for Business 491.